Water enforcement, regional projects, and at-risk systems and receiverships. She's a member of TWIC, which helps water and wastewater systems find funding and assistance, who are also at this conference. Dorothy received her Bachelor of Science and Master's from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. Please welcome Dorothy Young.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today. I know the title in the brochure that said Building Capacity Development didn't really say what I wanted it to say. The description, if you had a chance to read it, said a little bit more. I wanted to bring together, because it's so important, and so many of you know these folks, but a lot of you don't, the technical assistance providers that help water systems throughout Texas. Some of them even work nationally. And so you could meet everyone. It's not going to be no PowerPoints other than this quick introduction. And then the good news is that you will have a chance to talk to them later, either afterwards. That there's a workshop at 3:30 called the TWIC workshop. You can sit down one-on-one if you have questions for them. They will be giving you some information on where you can reach them for more information. But we'll go through this really quick. This is what we're going to be talking today. Can we help you? So I wanted you to meet the assistance providers in Texas. They cover financial, technical, and managerial assistance, so the whole gamut. It takes all three of those things to make a water system strong. We're going to introduce you to these organizations, and this is the kind of thing, from budgets to leak detection, compliance assistance, operator training, we run the gamut. And here's some of the groups. Next. And you can also see these folks, like I said, downstairs. It's a picture of some operator training. TEEX worked with Communities Unlimited. One of the coolest things about this group is we all partner together in all different kinds of collaborations. This is putting on training in Presidio County at discounted rates for folks who would never able to have operator training otherwise, and in Spanish. It's the kind of collaboration we can help with. Next. Planning workshops. This was a drought planning workshop in Wichita Falls. There's folks there from Texas Rural Water Association, Communities Unlimited, local communities, planners, Texas Division of Emergency Management. Next. Funding assistance. At 3:30, we're having a funding assistance and other assistance workshop called TWIC, and that's a good chance for people to talk about projects and where maybe they could get some money. That's a TWIC workshop we had here last year, the year before. It got a little intense, but it was great. Regulatory training is something we do. Lots of new rules and regs coming. Next. And then on-site assistance. A lot of these folks provide free on-site assistance, so we'll come to you. Next. Regional planning is something we're really promoting, especially for small systems that have compliance issues. It's complicated. It takes a lot of work. It's a lot of human issues, but it's a fun challenge. Next. And we also all participate in community meetings when that's helpful. One-on-one consulting, that is the Herald right there, talking one-on-one at one of our workshops. And on-site visit. I'm always asking people to adopt small water systems. We need not only assistance providers to do that, but neighboring water systems, local officials. We're out in Presidio County showing the county judge a water system that needed to be adopted, and it was. It's still an ongoing process, but it's been a big success from where it started. Lots of folks helped. It's my contact information, and now I'm going to introduce the real folks for this group is the people who've come to talk. I'm going to ask that they each answer 3 questions. It'll be really brief. We don't have time for a lot of case studies, but after they answer the questions, if we still have time, we can open it up for questions from you all. And then if we have even more time, I'd like some case studies, either from you guys or from the panel, of an example of how some system was having problems and how their group or a group of groups helped get it fixed. So let's start at this end with TEEX, James Fisher. So James, if you will tell us who you represent, how you assist water systems, and where you can find more information.
Okay, my name is James Fisher. I'm the training manager for the water and wastewater program at TEEX. We're getting into doing a lot more technical assistance. We're having expansion of basically what our Tejada folks are doing. which they've been doing for over 20 years, technical assistance along the border for small systems, colonias, things like that. But we've gotten some funding from the legislature on keeping Texas prepared. And so we're kind of taking that program statewide. And so starting in September, we're going to start doing technical assistance for basically anybody and everybody, mainly starting with small systems. I'm in the process of trying to hire some folks, so if you know people that are good at troubleshooting, come see me down at the Teaks booth. But anything operational at a water and wastewater system we'll help out with. Our intent is to stay with the facility for an entire week, work through stuff, help them out the best we can, and if need be, also offer a water and wastewater course during that week of basically, you know, kind of one-on-one with that particular utility. We also still have our outreach, which is the reduced price course, reduced price water and wastewater courses. That's mainly out west and south, but they're still available. And I got more information on that down at the booth as well.
Thank you, James. Next is Samira.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samira Armijos, and I'm with TCEQ's Financial, Managerial, and Technical Assistance Program, which is also known as the FMT Assistance Program. And this is a program through which we offer free financial, managerial, and technical assistance to help public water systems in Texas comply with regulations. And we offer a very wide variety, honestly, of financial, managerial, and technical tasks. So we can help with everything from, you know, identifying funding to developing an asset management plan. Our contractors can help with water loss and conservation. So if you need help, you know, completing a water loss audit, that's something we can do. Some really big ones lately have been helping with the emergency preparedness plan, which is a biggie, as I'm sure you all know, as well as the lead service line inventory. So if that just seems like an overwhelming task and maybe you want some free help, our contractors can come out and provide on-site assistance with that. But again, it's just, there's too many tasks for me to list right now, but if you'd like more information, we actually have a booth right there in the technical assistance room. Right when you come in, it's right to your left, and you can talk to some of our contractors. And you can also learn more by going to our website, which if you just type in TCEQ FMT on any search browser, it should be the first search result. But that was a very brief introduction. But if you'd like to learn more, please, you know, feel free to approach me or again, visit our booth in the technical assistance room.
Next is Haley.
Hi, my name is Haley Davidson, and I also work for TCEQ. I am part of the Small Business and Local Government Assistance section of TCEQ. We're commonly referred to as SBLGA, Small Business and Local Government Assistance. We offer free technical assistance for air, water, and waste. And so I know you guys are primarily here for water, but some of y'all may be dual water, wastewater. Some of you guys may have other operations that are also regulated by TCEQ back at home. So we can help with those things as well. And like Dorothy mentioned, we can help on site, we can help over the phone, we can help you troubleshoot a couple of things. And the nice thing about our program is that we can assist you without the threat of enforcement. There's a confidentiality to our assistance while working with you. So there's a couple of ways to reach out to us if you guys think that we can help you, or if you have questions about what may or may not be regulated by TCEQ. You can feel free to access all of our compliance resources on our webpage. You can find them from the main homepage. You can type in TCEQ SBLGA, or if you have a pen and paper handy, our website is texasenvirohelp.org. texasenvirohelp.org. And we also have a toll-free number that you can call us confidentially at, and that number is 1-800-447-2827. Thank you.
Steve Walden.
So my name is Steve Walden. I know probably some of you from my past. I've been in the water arena now for, I think, 48 years. I know that's hard to believe since I'm only 48 years old, and so what we do at Texas AWWA, Texas section of American Water Works Association, we have started 3.5 years ago. We created a small systems program that has evolved to a whole division of people. We now have 60 volunteers pulled together, and we do pro bono assistance to water systems. And the way most people find us is from Haley or somebody else will call us and say, we need to have some people roll out there and figure out what's going on. So what we do is try, I would say the number one thing we do is help unstick the situation. We try to do a scoping analysis of what you may think the problem is versus what other ancillary things, which sometimes turn out to be the primary problem. And then we bundle that together and say, now we know what to talk about. And how do you go after, you can go after funding when you know a scoped project. And we don't do many things by ourselves. We do a lot of collaborative work. We help people get their funding things put together. We've helped put some regional systems together. We've helped get emergency funding things done overnight. We did it like over a weekend. And because we have free resources, we don't have bureaucracy. We don't have any, we can just start sometimes the same day on a project that you give us. So if you called Haley, she can get you right to me right away. Or Samara, same thing. And we also work with WFX, and we work a lot with Harold's group, the Communities Unlimited, and we work with Rural Water in a collaborative way. So what you'll find is a lot of us are integrated in a way that we put the different pieces of things together to get your project accomplished. And a lot of times what we do is just kind of calm everybody down and figure out what the problem is. And I'll pass it on.
Thank you. Carlos?
Yes, Carlos Rubenstein. I'm here with Water Finance Exchange. You can learn more about us by going to waterfx.org. As Steve said, we also partner with several of the folks here at the table on projects that have gotten stuck. One of the things that I think, and the reasons why we do it, is we all grew up at the TCEQ a long time ago. And it wasn't even TCEQ. I started with the Water Commission. You were before that. There you go. So we go a little bit back, and during our careers, we have been involved with communities that they need help. They know they need help. They're committed to doing the right thing. They just need someone to come along and hold them by the hand and show them the path that they need to navigate. Because if they don't, they're going to continuously be left behind, waiting for money to come by. That's one of the things that Water Finance Exchange does. Water Finance Exchange is not a consulting group that comes in and sells you on a solution. I don't think any of us do that. We all go in trying to understand what the needs of the community are, what their problems are, their impediments are in achieving their goals, and then finding a way of getting that done. Water Finance Exchange also provides services at no cost. I don't like to say free, but it is free because there is value to everything that all of us do. The fact that it's not at a cost to the receiving entity is a value because it helps the entity get unstuck. Water Finance Exchange is funded by philanthropy. This allows us to spend a lot of our time, whether it's looking from the regulatory side, which is my expertise. How is it that you got in trouble with the TCEQ? What is it that needs to occur to bring you on the right side of that line? To financial conditions that may help you identify your project and how to get it funded, to operational issues. We have that expertise within WFX. And again, it is something that we have felt that it is best accomplished when you look at the watershed from a watershed perspective. What's going to benefit everyone that's around there? Yes, it is Texas. Yes, we don't like working with our next door neighbor or community, but sometimes that actually gets us there. It's not a requirement. We like to look at it because it reduces costs for everyone. And I think the ability to come in and each one of us on the table being able to serve in a different role, but a collaborative role, ends up assisting the community. So I think you'll find that none of us like to approach things on our own. We would like to bring all the expertise that we know we can count on. Again, additional information at waterfx.org.
Harold?
I'm Harold Hunter with Communities Unlimited, and we not only provide technical assistance to small communities, and what we mean by small is 10,000 population or less. Can be a city, can be a water supply, can be it can even be private, independently owned utility. So we do work with a number of them. We also have some loan funds or loan funds, not grants. But we also can work with, one of the things that we can do is we spend a lot of time with communities, whatever the issue is, water or sewer, from what we basically say from cradle to grave. We start with you on a possibility, looking at where you are, a grant loan application. We may be able to help you with that. If it's a USDA, it can be from the point of you get an application to USDA, the letter of conditions, through that process, and even through construction possibly. It just depends on the situation. And as these guys, ladies and gentlemen have said, is that we do try to collaborate when we can, because with all of the issues out, I looked at one what we saw in Texas not too long ago. What was the need on water and waste? How much would it cost? And I think it was in the billions of dollars of need in Texas in water and waste. And so with all of the amounts of monies that are out here, it's still not enough to solve the problem, all of the problems. But we do try to work together and try to do as much as we can to help the communities resolve it. And us as communities, .org, and you can find technical assistance. We have enough number of staff around the state, so wherever you are in the state, we do have someone to cover that area.
Thank you. Brian?
All right, I'm Brian with the TCEQ Water Supply Division. I represent the Texas Optimization Program Response Team. Just as everyone else on the panel, we provide technical assistance to water systems. I think one thing and for free, and one of the things that sets us aside is that our team goes out and solves some of the most complex problems. You might say that when the water system gets to a point where they can't cope with the problem, our engineers, our environmental scientists, employees go out and solve the problem. We also have a cadre, and I see Don back there in the back, I'll dime him out, a cadre of prior TCQ and EPA professionals that support our UTA contract to the Texas Optimization Program. And so we can send those teams out to do CT studies. We can do directed assistance modules, nitrification. We can help you out with a multitude of things, both in the plant, also out into distribution. And then Catherine's also on the team there with Cross Connection, so we can provide support to Cross Connection. And we have information out on the TCEQ main website. It's Texas Optimization Program. And if you need technical assistance, top@tceq.texas.gov.
And Jason?
Hello, Jason Knobloch with Texas Rural Water, and I first am sorry for the alarm. No matter if you silent a phone or not, alarms do not go silent. So appropriately done, I am over here in the corner for that reason. We are an association made up of member systems, water and wastewater utilities. We also have a variety of different programs. We do technical assistance. We have programs for EPA through USDA, and we also are the contractor through the FMT program as well. So we have a lot of different opportunities to come out on site, just like many of these others, and provide technical assistance. We do training topics. We do operator training as well. Some of the other things that we do for membership is we do have leak detection, drone services, tank inspections. We're trying to fine tune some of the aerial drone thermal capabilities. We're trying to get into some of the cool tools, if nothing else. So we do focus a lot of effort on the management and operations of everyday utilities, just like everyone up here that spoke. So there's a lot of different opportunities here, a lot of different programs, and we're all here for the same reason. So I do appreciate putting this group together. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So there are a couple other groups in Texas. NEMA is here with the Public Utility Commission. They have a program that also provides some assistance for financial and managerial. They'll be at the TWIC workshop at 3:30, so you can go talk to them. The Water Development Board is actually doing a whole presentation on one of their assistance programs called AMPS. It's an asset management planning program. And coming along in the future, near future, EPA is going to have a program for technical assistance. We're still working on how that's going to work in Texas and the best way to reach folks, but that's coming out of some of the new funding that's coming through EPA. We don't know a lot of details yet, but any of these folks can be contacted directly. And once again, everyone will be downstairs at 3:30. A lot of these folks are also hanging out in the technical assistance room, and folks like James have their own booth in the exhibit hall. Anybody else have a booth down there? Rural Water, Communities Unlimited, okay. So that's another opportunity for you to talk to these people. We've got more time than I thought. So would anyone like to either pose a question about assistance or tell us about some of the issues you're dealing with, or tell us a story about when you've had assistance? Any volunteers?
I'll brag on Texas Rural Water Association. When I was on the water board for several years after I retired in education, our guy died of cancer, and they said, "Hey, Stan, you're a chemistry guy. Why don't you take over this?" And I thought, "Oh, yeah, I'll do it." For about 2 or 3 months, and wasn't even able to pay myself for a couple of months. You know, that's how bad we were. But the first thing I did was call for help. And I think TCEQ, that's about 14 years ago, I don't even know, maybe y'all just got started, but Texas Rural Water came, and James Smith came, and man, he has, over the last 14 years, kept me from stepping on probably 20 landmines. And I've really never had to, what it does is, in my mind, I didn't want to bother TCEQ because, you know, I just didn't want to, being in education, you never wanted to mess with Texas Education Agency. Anytime they showed up, it was kind of like unreal. And so I didn't really know how nice y'all were till the last few years. But I wanted to stay away from them, and Texas Rural Water kept me from it. And, you know, like right now, we have an old well, 60 years old. And I think we've used, put down motors and pumps for the last time. That's what THI told us. So we're going to be in a process of, you know, drilling a new well. About a $4 million project, guys, for a small water system. And so Texas Rural Water helped me through that, and we'll go from there, and we're going to see it through. And so I'm going to try to get that done. But those are the things that these people do. And I do talk to TCEQ every once in a while. They'll call me about something, and I'll answer it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Michelle in the back. Michelle, want to wave? Michelle's our Deputy Director of the Water Supply Division. You may have heard her this morning if you were here bright and early. So Michelle, jump in if you have any questions or thoughts at any time. This is how we learn. We learn from stories. We learn from real life experiences. We learn where you've hit bumps in the road, where any of us have done good. That's always nice to hear.
Thank you. Wasn't actually planning on talking to y'all. I just wanted to pop in and see what was going on. But I do really want to encourage you. I think it's Alicia Deal's favorite joke to say we're the government, we're here to help. A lot of us went into water and wastewater because we actually really did want to, and we understand the struggle. I came from a city. I've done operations not only for us, but also I was a laboratory that worked with everyone from the mobile home park owner all the way up to other cities that were even bigger than the lab I worked for. The struggle is very different depending on everybody's situation. I think that's what's great about everybody at this panel. They have seen everything. Now, your situation will still be different than everything they've seen, but they can take all that stuff that they know, all that history, and help you get to the solution faster. Water is expensive. Nobody pays for the real cost of water, right? Nobody wants to get a $300 water bill, even if they really should get a $300 water bill. So what we need to do is we need to keep that something that everybody needs and make it accessible and affordable. And sometimes all of this free assistance is the only thing that gets you there. So don't be afraid to call us. If we're intimidating, call Haley because she gets to do it confidentially, okay? But we, honest to God, do want to come out and help you. Don't hesitate. And you don't have to be in trouble to talk to us. Proactive. The whole idea behind your emergency preparedness plans is to avoid going down. When you know your well is dying, don't wait till your well dies. talk to us ahead of time. The ability to get you at least a plan that potentially is approved, and then when you actually do have the funding, then you can act on that plan, that's going to put your people in a way better situation. So in the end, your customers being happy with you is extremely important. It makes the rest of your life easier. It makes that ability to pay that water bill something they're a little more interested in doing. Whenever their water well goes down, the first call we get at TCEQ is, why am I have to pay a water bill? I got to boil this stuff. It's useless. It means nothing to me. Whenever it's a different color, when it's a different taste. So being able to stay ahead of the curve where you haven't burned that customer relationship yet is extremely valuable, and we'd love to keep you there. All of these people would love to keep you there. So all I can say is encourage you very much to pick up the phone, shoot an anonymous email. We'll gladly help you out because we want to keep you out of those situations. I don't like the 3 a.m. phone call any more than you do, but we'll answer it. So please, if I can't do nothing else, encourage you to actually pick up the phone and talk to at least one of the people here. And if you do have a struggle, they're great problem solvers. They've seen so many things. Let them at least take a look at your problem. You might not even think you have a problem yet, but they might see it coming, and that could really help you out.
Thank you, Michelle. So one of the things that I keep thinking of things, I forgot. One is that we have a group here. Fernando is representing, and he'll be down in the TWIC, the North American Development Bank, which is a funding agency that's an international bank that can fund projects along the border. And they also have classes, utility training they hold every year. So you might want to talk to him about that. If you're, do you have to be a border community to take your training? Okay, so if you're a border community, he's a very good resource, also for grants too. Also, sitting among you are trainers and mentors that we could really use some help from. And I know some of you are doing it already. And sometimes it takes a while for you to go, like that partnership award that we have, we need to get more people talking about that. Probably all of you are doing that already. You've helped someone during the ice storm. You took someone to training. You let somebody come use your plant for an example. You shared sample pickup and delivery. That's all partnerships. That's all the kind of same kind of assistance. Any other examples of assistance or assistance you might need? Quiet.
I'll step into that because I agree that as unique as the problem may seem to you, you're not in it by yourself. I'll give you a couple of examples, and hopefully others here will chime in as well, where all of us are working together. One is in a county out in West Texas. I'm not going to mention the name, but in that county, all of the communities wanted to get funding. They heard about IIJA, and they said, man, if we could just get that assistance, not only would it solve our problems that we have, but it might spur some economic development, and they see that linkage. But you know what? They never were able to work cooperatively together. We were able to come in, it's several of us, and identify and help those folks first establish a stakeholder group amongst themselves so they could see that they have common issues and they can work together without giving up control. That stakeholder process has now led them on a county level, speaking with a greater voice, to apply for funding, and they have actually received funding, all within less than 12-month period. Out in the Panhandle, and I see Kurt, and I want to applaud Kurt and the work that those folks are doing. 4 subdivisions that were developer created, and the developer has since passed. Nobody's there taking care of the systems. You all had been dealing with it before I got involved, so kudos to you as well. But the board, the Water Development Board, had been really forward-thinking and setting aside money in response to the pleas of the folks that were working with them already. But they needed an entity to be created to be able to receive the funds. It couldn't go to the developer system because it's privately held. We were able to create a project or a corporation to be able to receive the funds, and by the end of this month, we will finalize, all of us. When I mean we, it is a whole bunch of folks that are working behind the scenes, and everyone has a different aspect of the application going to make sure that we file it in time with the board to secure the funding, and then we'll be going to PUC concurrently and working through that process again. Those are a couple of examples of the type of assistance that a big team that comes from different entities, we don't really care about, we care about cooperating with each other, not about who gets the credit. At the end of the day, we want the credit to go to the community that stepped up and actually wanted to get it done. I don't know if you guys want to add more to that or additional examples.
Well, it is a great example, is that this is a very difficult, it's about as hard as you're going to get, which is you've got a bankrupted, abandoned investor-owned utility with approximately 4 subdivisions with 1,000 people, and they have very poor quality water and all that damage from the freeze, et cetera, that's still in place. And so Communities Unlimited joined with Texas A, WWA, and we got the funding, and we started a 2 years ago process to get them to where they got, and now they got $3.3 million lined up to go fix these 4 systems, but it has to have an entity to do it. And we get Carlos's group WFX and going, and we have in a really short amount of time, they already have an elected board, and it's like we have a group of people that for the first time ever have a voice in their water system, and they're going to go forward and create a great compliant water system very quickly. We've got our own engineer that represents us as a retired Texas Tech engineering professor out there, so we've got great people working on this thing, and this could not have happened without a very big team operation taking place, and no one of us could have done it. Another other end of the pole example I'll give you is Jason gave me one. It was a little town just west of Waco somewhere, and they had a really tight timeline to get a funding request in for USDA emergency funds. They had a lightning strike on a well. They're really bad shape. They're really bad shape for water supply, and I think they had to have a deadline was like in 4 days or something like that. And so Jason called us because we don't have any bureaucracy, and I got one of our PEs together. He and we rewrote the original engineering report that goes into the document, and our person sealed it and turned it into them 2 days early. So they actually could turn it into USDA and get access to the emergency funds for their well. That can't happen normally in organizations that have bureaucracy. So that's kind of why we fit into whenever I'm about to fall out of the airplane, they will come to us, and we'll do something if we can.
One quick thing, my former agency as well, when we do assist these communities, if they have regulatory issues, we go to the TCEQ like we did last week, asking for help. And now we're in the process of, we know that these regulatory problems have existed. We're all committed to making sure that we return the entity to a compliant state. Can we work out a compliance agreement? Because the new entity that got created is not the one that caused it. They're just getting stuck with it. Fortunately, the legislature has also acted to benefit folks that want to do the right thing. House Bill 3232, the Safe Harbor Bill, is a great vehicle to try to pursue as well. And I would encourage you all to look at that as well. I don't know if you want to.
And I'll kind of brag on the team here. Like Catherine runs our cross connection program, and I won't name any cities or anything like that. But there was an instance, back me up here, Catherine. But there was an instance where a fire suppression system leaked back into the distribution. So the top team, went out and diagnosed that from a cross connection perspective. One of the teams, there was a town in the state, let's just keep it that way, that consecutive 3 years in a row was having problems with their residuals. The team went out there. There was 2 separate plants in this particular location. The teams spread out. They did CT studies. They looked at their SCADA. They went through distribution, sampling, mapping. We did all kinds of things out there and turned that system around. Another system last year, they had bloodworms in their water. Turns out that the screens on their filter, on their tanks, were not to spec, and they had midge flies. And then once the team got on the ground, then they started to uncover other things, such as cross connection. They didn't have a cross connection program. They didn't have a nitrification action plan. So whenever top hits the ground, we initially go out for a reason, usually because it's a legislator or somebody's of importance is asking us to go figure out the problem and solve it. But as we get there, we find other things, and we deal with the situation at hand as an emergency, and then we'll follow up and send either guys like Don or our UTA contractors out there to do those directed assistance modules to train up the staff in that city.
When we look at technical assistance, in my mind, we see things like a disinfection issue or disinfection byproducts or some immediate example, just to let people know that a lot of this actually can come around to staff and board training, as it was just mentioned. We're seeing a lot of operators, a lot of turnover. Someone works here for 2 weeks, and then we get called back to do the exact same thing because now there's a new operator. So we're training people over and over, and we can do that in bigger groups if needed be, and a lot of these groups up here can do that. But we can also do it with boards. We deal with a lot of small utilities that unfortunately are stuck in their ways, and they don't want help. They don't want funding. They don't want a debt. And sometimes it takes, the management and the staff knows that things need to be done, but they can't get it to the board. So sometimes a third party to explain what is necessary sometimes helps. So staff and board training is a form of technical assistance to just consider if y'all do run into those kind of things.
I'll try to be fast, but just to kind of like reiterate the message home about teamwork, I have one system that I'd been working with for a couple of years. They, of course, had already been in enforcement with TCEQ, and they came to me at that point. So, confidentiality was a bit of an issue with what they were in enforcement for, but they had other underlying issues. So I also worked with them on those things. And then I identified that some of the assistance was beyond what I could directly provide. So I initially reached out to Samira and then got to work with Elston on this specific case. He and I worked on this case for a while, and then we decided there was actually more issues than both the naturally occurring and the contaminant, and then also the failing septic field. And so then we brought in Steve. And so it's just to kind of hit home the message about all of us working together, and we all know each other, and we all are in direct contact with each other, and a lot of y'all out there too, that we can work together and try to help, like everyone has said, fix your current problems at hand, but also try to look forward to prevent any future problems too.
Thank you.